remember that success happens from the inside out. It happens from the inside out. So if we are working at being successful internally, then success is going to happen externally.
Hello and welcome to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host, Aish, and today, folks, you're in for a treat. We have a technology expert with us on the show today. But before I introduce you to our guest, allow me to introduce you to the magic of Engati. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform, available across 14 channels with 35,000 bots, created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has been recognized as a top platform by Inc.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Jabari Butler is the co-founder and CTO of Sign1 News. Sign1 News, a Google partner, is an award-winning CNN-affiliated digital news network for the deaf and hard-of-hearing communities. Its mission is to provide up-to-the-minute news and information in ASL to provide a job skills pipeline for deaf students to change the news game forever. He's also an innovation and tech thought leader and a member of the Forbes technology community. So welcome to the show, Jabari. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
So let me start with our first question. How does a digital news network function? How does it work?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here to share this information with you today. I'm very, very excited about this information and about this interview. So how does a digital news network work? Well, first, your information must be vetted and reliable. So as you mentioned earlier, we are a CNN affiliate, and so we can rely on the information that we get from CNN. And we take that information and we give that to our very skilled people. So a traditional newsroom might have most of their team working inside the office. Mm-hmm. As you know, due to COVID and people were forced to work from home. And since our inception several years ago, we've always had a distributed workforce. We've always depended on the cloud. So it takes a team of producers who develop the stories, editors who edit the videos needed, and anchors to deliver the news, and web producers who make the news live on the web. Mm-hmm. Now, the vast majority of our team members remain remote at this time, and it takes a mix of cloud communication technology, so team members can communicate with each other, and also cloud storage and publishing technology to make it available on both mobile and OTT devices. So we're on Apple TV, Apple Watch, Google, Android devices, your smart TV. So we're on all those platforms.
That's really cool stuff. So you've been ahead of the game for a while now.
Yeah, you could say that.
So moving on to my next question. How has technology increased the effectiveness and the efficiency for media channels? I know you've mentioned cloud, but how else do we, how's the efficiency and the effectiveness really increased?
Sure. Well, now, first of all, understand technology has shaken the media world forever. Mm-hmm. And technologies such as YouTube and Facebook and Wowza and other technologies, they now virtually allow anyone to publish their media. It could be live, or it could be video on demand using a laptop or a cell phone. Mm-hmm. So technology has made it much easier for people to communicate real time. It has made it people easier to publish, as I mentioned earlier. And also, things like tools like chatbot in particular allow for real-time communication to existing or potential customers. It's very, very critical as well as it relates to communication with your team members, because that's absolutely critical, especially when it comes to breaking news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like technology has really made it a much more collaborative a more collaborative tool. Even though we're quite everyone's kind of far away from each other because of the remote environment, I think technology has kept us more connected than ever. You mentioned the role of chatbots, but how do you think they could help in delivering more personalized content for the viewer?
I think so. I think it's a good idea. I actually receive some news I get now with another organization, and they use a chatbot to present information. It's not intrusive, so it sits there on your phone, and mm-hmm. I can see it and I can look at it when I want to, and then it leads me, down the pathway of the story. So I can look as much as I want, or stop any, midway or go all the way through to some type of call to action. So I think it's a very, very powerful tool for personalized news. I definitely think that is really good for niche markets in particular.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like it's less intrusive. Like I feel like people can now kind of just like pick up their phone and just like on a platform like WhatsApp. I used to receive some news on from news media outlets on WhatsApp, and they used to always like poke me every now and then. But like you have the option of making them stop, and then you also have the option to also text them and be like, "Hey, listen, I want news on this sector," and they'll deliver it to you like in real time, which is pretty awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking of like alerts or updates as well. Very, very good for that. Sometimes when you send an alert through an app, just a pure app, you're really dependent on one, the technology, and then the company that cell phone is with. So they may or may not push your alert through. But when you have something like a chatbot that's a little more closer to the device, then you have a real reliable access to someone's attention. And again, what I like about it is the fact that you don't actually have to see everything that's going on at that moment. It can just pop up and sit there when you're ready. You don't feel like looking at it at the time, just move it away. You want to look at it right now, you bring it open. So that's one of the things I like about it.
Yeah, for sure. And also there's no need for all those additional apps. Like there used to be so many, but now you can just get it on whatever app you're comfortable with. So I mentioned WhatsApp earlier, but also Messenger, Telegram, Slack, things like that. So it's really changing the game.
Well, it's important to have technology that is platform independent. It's a platform agnostic, because there's so many different things now happening, so many changes taking place, and patches are coming up every day. People are getting different versions, and so some people have new platforms, people have older platforms, and so I find that the most reliable ones are the web-based ones that don't depend on if it's Apple or if it's Android or some other type of tool. It's really good when you want to stay platform independent. That way, it doesn't matter if they have a browser, you can get to them.
Yeah, right. I think it's also super important to kind of just keep the experience consistent across. And I guess, when you mentioned the web-based, I guess that's a huge tool in kind of contributing to that consistency. So thank you for sharing that. So moving on to my next question, how can companies implement robust IT programs in their functioning without any difficulties?
I laugh at that because, that is always the goal, to have no difficulty when implementing technology, especially robust technology. So I'm gonna, what I'll say is this. Now, it's rare that a company implements a robust program without any difficulty, but it can happen. It's possible. It's rare, but it's possible. And I would have to say that you must have people, you must have processes, you must have technology. All three must be ready, must be tested, and they must be functioning in harmony with each other. It's like a three-legged stool. Remove one, then everything's going to fall. I can have the greatest technology, but without the right people or processes, it's not going to work. I can have the best processes and best people, but no technology, it's not going to work. And I've seen over the years where many organizations try to shortcut it, or they may say, "Oh, I don't really need all of that. We just want to put the technology in." Okay, they put it in, it doesn't work. I can tell you that. I tell you right now, you could save about $50,000 or $1 million. And so, whenever I find all three working in harmony, you have a much greater chance of success, thus reducing or even eliminating many areas of difficulties. When any one of those areas are off, then you're welcoming yourself to failure or some sort of challenge, difficulty. So those are kind of things that I think about to do that. And I've navigated complex environments and very simple environments, but that same concept, people, process, technology, anyone in this space will tell you that it's got to be a mix of those three, working together, and that's how you can minimize, some cases eliminate your difficulties.
Do you have any tips on providing on how to maintain this sort of harmony and or how to like establish this harmony? Because I think
Of course. We know where that question is going. anytime you have complex projects that involve many organizations, or anytime you have projects that involve change. Now, I've done different ones in cooperation with the federal government, with private organizations, with nonprofits, and all across the board. Consistently, what I find is communication. So you want to communicate expectations, and you have a huge project, and let's say it's millions of dollars involved, and people's jobs can be on the line depending upon the level of change. And I've been in that situation before. Fortunately, it was successful, but there was an unsuccessful portion that came before me, and so I had to come in and sort of clean up a lot of the challenges, and then move the project forward. And by that time, lots of money had been spent. Many different groups came through there, and they didn't implement it properly. And so we were able to come in and provide solutions that reduced their cost and gave them everything that they needed, and save was part of saving the organization. But point is that anytime you deal with efficiency or dealing with something that you want to succeed, there's got to be a clear communication of goals, a clear communication of expectations, and again, a clear communication throughout the entire project life cycle. So let's say you start out and you have like a 1-year project, but you have like milestones along the way. If you don't know what your critical path is along that way, and you're not clear about what, or you or your organization or your partners or your developers, whoever's not clear about how close you are or how far you are from that goal, that milestone, which may be a critical milestone to build upon for the success of the project, then you're asking for challenges, and you're asking for potential failure in some areas. And so you can end up having a budget that goes over, or you can end up having people that get frustrated, combination of the two. And if there's not clear communication between those smaller milestones, then you can end up in a situation where you'll miss your target, over budget, combination of both, and it could send a spiral effect and impact the organization negatively. So and from experience, I say that you've got to have clear expectation. Even if you kind of understand it, you still want to be clear several times as you approach your milestones, and clear about what success means in the project, throughout the project, and when you complete the project. Because even when you complete the project, groups may have different understanding of what complete means, and that actually happens. And so I think, especially now that you're dealing with multiple organizations that may have different cultural understanding, because now the world is a smaller place. You work with people in different countries, so other countries may have a different understanding of their project progress based on whatever. It's not so much culture; it's just the ideas as communicating consistently, and making sure everybody's on the same page. And so I've seen both. I've seen it where it's stellar, and I've seen it where people misunderstood what somebody meant. And so those little nuances are really, really important to understand. So communication in the beginning, communication along the way. Sometimes you need instant messaging to do that. So that's good to have. When you have a hiccup and you have a critical deadline, and the deadline is, like the next day or two, every little thing counts, because you don't want anything being thrown off course, because it can. And so instant messaging is good, because sometimes you may not have email. Email may take a while, or something may get filtered into spam or something like that. Sometimes you can't reach them on the phone. So instant messaging is good, because now you have something sitting there waiting for you when you get back, when you're available. You might have missed it on your emails. That's an example. Another way is make sure that you have a solid tracking mechanism, some mechanism that allows you to track that project management. All kinds of tools. There's people, out there that master that. But as long as you have a solid understanding of your goals, an efficient way of tracking, and multiple ways of contacting people, especially people on your critical path, people who can make or break the project, you've got to stay in contact with them at a moment's notice sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. You brought up an interesting point about communicating and instant messaging. I think right now we're seeing we're kind of shifting away from emails and we're moving more towards instant messaging platforms. So that was really insightful. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's good because something could happen where I found many times if your infrastructure is not working properly or a phone goes out, phones can go out,
mm-hmm.
and it's that can happen. Then what are you going to use? You have email, you have instant messaging. And then if your machine or something is not working or something happens, then you have something like an instant messaging tool that is a backup and it can work on both platforms. And so, these is kind of, you think about, redundancy is good, and it's better to over communicate than under communicate, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. So these are some really important factors that kind of lead a company on their road to success. But what role does innovation and technology play in this?
Yeah, that's always the big question, right? Well, innovation is critical and central to managing change and anticipating change, right? So innovation is critical because people change, right? Societies change. Theories and ideas, they change. What was true today may not be true tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So it's critical to have an environment that encourages change and calculated risk taking. I say calculated because you don't want to take a risk that's not informed.
Mm-hmm.
Even better word, maybe an informed risk where you can get information. So keeping these things in mind, there's a saying that either you're growing or you're not. So if you stop growing, so will your business.
Mm-hmm.
And next to innovation and technology is your people. Next to people, your most valuable asset is your technology. And technology is now central to everything. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Sound investment in technology can help put information in the hands of your people, who can then make tactical and or strategic decisions. It's very critical for us in the space that we're in, because we work with persons who are deaf and hard of hearing oftentimes. That's a majority of our audience. And so, unfortunately, they get cut out of information when the press briefings were going on at the time, or when different things happen for COVID, or when severe weather happens. Information is super critical, and many times they don't have that access. And so we have to find ways to be innovative and be able to be flexible, so that when a feed comes in from somewhere, or when we get information, we had to find ways to get this information to our audience as quickly as possible. Because sometimes people are making life and death decisions on critical information. We want to be sure to give them the right information at the right time. Right information at the wrong time that's just wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
Oh, definitely.
The wrong information at the right time, that's wrong too. So you want to be able to give the right information at the right time. So you always find ways to be innovative, and to be technology driven in a sense. But again, it deals with understanding change and managing change and navigating change. Now, the other thing is that you navigate between two areas. It's really the difference between success and failure. Resisting either of these two areas, resisting innovation, resisting technology, that can be the difference between you being beat by your competitor or you winning. And we like to win over here. And so, we like to win. There's a song called "All We Do Is Win." So, anyway, but the point is that organizations that embrace and harness the power of innovation and technology, they're going to stay ahead. And organizations that resist it and they fight it and they don't embrace it are going to find themselves being behind.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to set yourself up for success, and the way we do that is we set our people up for success. And then we set our people up for success, our company is set up for success.
It goes back to that communicating. So I guess, that plays a huge role in all of this.
Right. We're living in a real-time world, so things are more real-time than they used to be. And so people aren't used to waiting and waiting and waiting. You know, they like to have information, accurate information now. But we also know that things keep changing as well. And so that's the key, is being able to manage the change and encourage the change and allow that to help inform how you do your business or whatever it is you're looking at, selling a product or communicating with the customer, or being able to communicate with your team. Because at the end of the day, the business must have customers. Without customers, there's no business. And so we want to be sure to communicate as effectively as we can with our customers and get as much personalized information or personalize our services to them so they feel valued, they feel like they're a part of what's going on versus just being a dollar. And I think that used to be an idea, a concept that people would use, but now people have so many more options than there used to be. So it behooves us to be able to understand our customers as best as possible and respond to them as quickly as possible. I was doing that over the weekend, communicating back and forth with our audience, and because they're used to not being heard. And so I know names, I know people, I know some. We've got thousands and thousands around the world, but you communicate with us on one of our platforms, I'm going to know your name. I'm going to know something about you. And that's how we built our audience. We didn't build it by buying a bunch of ads. We built it literally person to person, thousands of people, and we went one at a time. And they brought someone, and someone else brought someone, but we kept inviting one at a time, two at a time, one at a time, two at a time. We might have spent a very small amount of ads, but in terms of building up our base, we built it from the ground up. So it took longer to do that, but it was worth it. It's worth it down the road.
That's incredible. Yeah, I guess it kind of goes to show you how powerful like word of mouth marketing is, for example. But also it reminds me that a lot of companies, we've seen this happen, but during this crisis, obviously everyone's kind of going through it. But we've seen a lot of companies kind of just go radio silent and just not communicating with their customers. Whereas I think what's more effective is just communicating with your customers and saying, hey, listen, we're going to be facing some delays, but trust me, we're here for you. I think that's the better way of doing things. Just being honest and just being upfront and being like, we're going through it as well. But that's way better than just being silent, because, that's just scary for me.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. And I think that's what they're used to. And they're used to things being that way. And so so when I'm able to sit there and engage with someone and maybe they had an idea or a concept or an idea who we were because of what somebody else told them. And I seize the opportunity and say, hey, there's people that we agree with. And I've talked to people we don't agree with. I've talked to both. And I said, hey, thank you. You don't agree with us? Thank you for your comment. And we appreciate that because we still want to hear from you. I'm not going to, I love for everybody to agree with everything we do. But I think what that does, it brings a genuine nature to what we're attempting to do. And so now instead of that person just leaving and feel like they, can't be around, well, they may engage even further. I've seen people who say, I don't want to care about you guys. I like the other news. And then I say, hey, no problem. We appreciate you. Thank you for your comments. Come back anytime. And then they start responding. Well, I'll say a few more words, what I'm saying? Because we're engaging them. And so I think it's genuine to allow people to just say what they want. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to put anything out there that I don't love. That's the thing that we want people to know. If I don't love it, I don't really appreciate it, I don't want it out there. And so we're working hard now to make sure that whatever we put out there, we like it and love it too. I don't want to force something down your throat. I want to be sure that I like it. I want to watch it myself. And so I think but it takes having open dialogue with people and allowing them to say, I agree, here's why, or I don't agree, and here's why. We need to be able to have open dialogue about both, because we learn from each other that way. I think we do. That's in my opinion.
I completely agree with you, Jabari, like 100%. I think that open communication, as we mentioned, I feel like that's the theme of this interview.
That's what it's about.
So as a final note, are there any other thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Absolutely. A couple of things. One is remember that success happens from the inside out. It happens from the inside out. So if we are working at being successful internally, then success is going to happen externally. Dennis Kimbrough, a famous author, once said to dream big, big, big. So that's my quote to you. Dream big, big, big. Nothing is impossible. And I believe that with God, all things are possible. That's what I believe. And I think that's how we're able to do some of the things that we're doing, because people said it wasn't possible. People said all kinds of things that discouraged us in the very beginning, and then we found traction in just believing and being big thinkers. And so we are big thinkers, and we had no idea we'd end up going to like 40 some different countries or 50 countries around the world. We're just trying to help the United States at the time because we have American Sign Language, and then it went to India, it went to China, it went to Russia, it went to the UK, it went to, South America, it went all over the place. And so every once in a while we sit back and look at these, people, our precious community. And it's very encouraging to see that now there's a child who's deaf, and now they see a possibility for themselves. And that is a very encouraging. So as Dennis Kimbrough says, dream big, big, big. Do it and go for it. And just, mistakes along the way, yes. Challenges along the way, yes. There are going to be some hiccups, some bumps along the road, but keep going, keep moving, and live those dreams. You can do it.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing your insights with us. Though they were really valuable, and I know our audience is really going to enjoy this interview. Now, we'll be back with a new episode with a brand new expert soon, so stay tuned, and we'll see you around for the next one.